Hello everyone, my name is Salva. I'm from Servion and I'll be a moderator for today's webinar. Thanks for taking the time to join us live. Before we get started, few house rules. Drop questions anytime you want during this session and we'll take up those questions towards the end of it. We've got 10 minutes set aside for Q&As and we'll take those questions at the end. And this webinar is being recorded. So the recording will be shared with all attendees and registrants post the webinar. We'll quickly move on to the agenda. Now, about the topic, just a quick brief on customer expectations and where the contact center is heading. Now, customer expectations are evolving faster than most contact centers, how they hire or train agents. Now, this is precisely where Agentic AI comes in. And Agentic AI is an AI that typically reasons, plans, and takes action to achieve a goal with guardrails. And we'll see how Agentic AI will actually help you scale your operations today using Palo and Servion's offers. And with that, a quick walkthrough on the agenda. NPS and CSAT are great metrics, but they're reactive. So we'll have to look at how we can show you how you can save customers at the moment and not once the journey is completed. And we'll also touch upon why voice continues to remain as one of the most critical and complex channels. And Dan is going to show us a live demo, not a live demo, a demo of the Palo Agentic AI platform. And then the final portion is where we tell you how we can help you identify use cases for Agentic AI deployment and how Servion can get you started with your Agentic AI journey. With that, I'll pass it on to our speakers, Dan and Bruce, to let them introduce themselves and get into the session.
Awesome.
Dan,
yeah,
all yours.
super excited to dive in. So I'm Dan. I'm heading up tech partnerships here at Parloa. I've spent the past 2 years deploying agentic voice AI in large contact centers. So we'll be diving into that and talking about what's the opportunity at hand and what does it really take to make these projects successful. And couldn't be more excited about our partnership with Servion. So really excited to dive into the content today.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, Bruce Eisvik. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Servion. Being in the contact center space for longer than I like to admit, but dating way back to the days of Voice Genie, if anybody remembers that name. It's acquired by Genesys and spent a long time at Genesys. But point is, I've been in the IVR space and ASR and TTS back in the early nuanced SpeechWorks days, and have to say that I have a lot of war wounds from deploying these technologies over time. And when Parloa came along, it was pretty exciting to see how amazingly well this technology can work with with this new AI LLMs below it. So I think we can walk the walk. We've been talking the talk for a long time, and I really feel this technology is of age and is going to deliver some unbelievable outcomes. So let me tell you a little bit about Servion, though, just to kick it off. Just trying to advance slides here. I think it's working. Yeah, there we are. Servion's been in the CX space for 30 years itself. So a very long pedigree. We've got about 1,000 people around the world. We're a global systems integrator, and headquarters in the US. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to go for the Dodgers, by the way, just FYI. Still going to go for the Jays. But we are based out of Princeton, and we only do CX. So as an SI, we really focused, on this specific space. That's what got me really excited about the opportunity here. We strongly believe in sort of the human and AI connection, and that's how we came up with this whole construct around JourneyWorks. JourneyWorks is the belief that journeys is how you deliver an experience, and that you want to fulfill that experience with really well-trained agents and with a lot of tech below it. So this marriage of both, I think, is really important in the way we go to market. And I think the way Parloa goes to market will sort of amplify that, and we'll talk about that later. We've got a few areas of focus. We're focused on cloud, of course. We do a lot of migrations. That's a big part of our business. But increasingly, like everybody, an AI focus. We've got some great strategic partnerships, and I'd be remiss not to mention the long-standing OG for our relationship with Cisco, going way back, but with all the major CCaaS vendors as well. But really have built strong relationship with these big CCaaS vendors, but also looking for this super cool technology, innovative partners that we can bring in to the mix and sort of orchestrate. We're very outcome driven, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but we want to see ROI from any deployment we do with our customers. We want to really deliver the business a solid outcome, and what we feel is we're the one-stop integrator. So our job is to bring all of these bits of technology together, and certainly today there is a paradox choice and with massive velocity. So curating these solutions, I think, is where we think is a big challenge, and that's where we want to help. our clients. So this is a great landscape of the paradox of choice, overwhelming. This comes from Nicholas Dukowski. And if you don't know, he was the CMO at Genesis for a long period of time. He's actually also the CMO at Servion, so predates me, but really is a very powerful analyst in the industry. And he maps this tech out on a recurring basis. And it just sort of demonstrates the overwhelming paradox of choice that we have today in the conversational AI landscape. And that's why we feel our job is to help curate this and look through at the best technologies that are out there. And that's why, we land our Parloa. We're very excited about what they can do that is strongly differentiated. So I feel we're moving beyond NPS. I've had Fred Reichheld on a podium with me more than once. NPS, I think, has been a really good measurement or KPI for the CX space, but it's a trailing indicator. And what we strongly believe here at Servion is like, hey, would I rather know that somebody filled out a survey and gave us a 2 after we lost them out of 10, or with our journey orchestration capability to be able to intervene in real time and to save that customer and deliver our client a conversion? That's really powerful. And that's what we're here to help deliver. So you're noticing that 75% of businesses have abandoned NPS. I think everybody's now seeing this MIT report. Lots of failed Gen AI projects. I think that's because, in the early days, at least, a lot of people felt they could deploy that themselves, and Lord love them for doing that. And I think there's a lot, a big believer in experimentation, but if you're going to go and serve your customers in a commercial fashion, you're best to get some real capability and expertise to support you and help guide the way forward. So you'll see that MIT report, so suggesting that. And then I think the most important one that might be new to many on the call here is generative AI alone won't improve your CX. In fact, it can worsen it without journey orchestration. So the point is, journey orchestration is critical to solving customer CX issues. And I sort of summarize it here. Orchestration, not just automation. Automation is great. It reduces cost. But orchestration, with orchestration, we can deliver real interventions that save customers in the moment. That's what we're about. So what's really fascinating, I don't know if everybody's seen this, but voice still dominates. Like, I know as being a member of Genesis for such a long time that we've always been trying to get people, and our clients have been really interested in getting people on other channels, less expensive channels, like chatbots and online, and certainly it's been a real success. But look, when it gets really tough, voice is the channel of choice. And it's demonstrated here in the results. And now with some of the tech that, companies like Parloa are coming out, I think voice is going to dominate more and more. And that seems to be the vernacular in the industry in general. So I just think this is a really interesting stat for those who think that other channels are starting to decline. For those who support them, sadly not. Our view is we want to give multi-channel support, omni-channel support, but we think voice is where it's going to be at. And frankly, one of the things that we know is voice is one of the hardest mediums as well. Like voice latency, if you're late by 100 milliseconds in a voice channel, it matters. If you're 2 or 3 seconds late in loading a web page, so voice is the prominent channel, but it's also the hardest to do effectively. And again, this is why we love Parloa, because they really figured out voice first, their voice first conversational AI solution. So our go-to-market is around offering sort of the packages. And today, these are the 4 main packages we go to market with. Our Discovery Launchpad, I'll talk about that at the end. Onboard Plus is really our solution for journey orchestration. Engage 360 is how we support our clients with managed services and optimization. So not just supporting their infrastructure, but really helping them optimize it. And then most importantly for today, Voice IQ, which is really our white label Parloa offer, where we bring agentic AI agents into the mix. And our whole theory here is where journeys get done. But to talk about Voice IQ and agentic AI agents, I'm going to pass it to Dan.
Awesome. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about is the opportunity around relationships, not just automation, and a little bit about Parloa before I dive in. We launched back in 2018 as a voice AI platform with the goal, how do we give every customer their own personal agent? And we don't have a .ai in our name. We're not a .ai company. We've been focused since day one on delivering the best possible customer experiences. And we're the first company globally to deploy fully agentic voice AI in the contact center in Fortune 500 companies. And we've learned a lot over the past several years about things you need to do to actually make this stuff work. Because Bruce hit on it. A lot of these projects are having trouble, but I think between Parloa and Servion, we've really cracked the code of like, how do you actually make these projects work? So an article I wanted to highlight is actually before the AI era. So this is in 2019, before everyone was talking about AI. And it was talking about what was the issue in contact centers and why was the customer experience getting worse? And it came down to a lack of investment in training and ongoing development of the human agents. And the irony is history is repeating itself. AI agents are kind of funny. They're pretty similar to humans. If you want to make AI agents work, you have to invest in training and ongoing development. And I think people thought AI was magic and you could skip some of these steps and just throw it into production, but that's not the case. And this is the exact problem you have to solve for if you want to make agentic voice work in your contact center. And the way we approach it, we treat our AI agents just like humans. So what we've built over the past several years is a way to treat AI like it's part of your workforce, right? Today, contact centers are very human-centered, and a lot of the AI that's been deployed is AI to assist the humans, right? And the future of contact center workforces is going to be a hybrid. You'll have AI agents doing some tasks, you'll have humans doing some tasks, and you'll have some things where they're working together, where the AI does a portion, humans do another portion. But really start thinking about AI as part of the workforce, not just a magic tool you go and instruct to go do things. And when we talk about AI agents, what we've built is a management platform. It's not just AI agents, that actually the management of the AI agents is what unlocks the value, similar to humans. So if you think about a human agent, you wouldn't hire a human agent off the street and immediately put them on customer call, right? You'd onboard and train them. You'll role play conversations with them. You'll test different approaches. You'll shadow calls with them. As they get better, you'll scale their volume and scale the use cases they can handle, and you continually manage and coach them. The same exact thing is true with AI agents. You wouldn't want to put an AI agent on the phone with customers if you can't train it, you can't manage it, and you can't ensure it's going to work. So that's what we've built. We actually, over the past several years, we've built a platform that replicates this life cycle. So how you onboard and train your humans, it's the same way in Parloa. You give it a job, you tell it how to execute its job, what company it works for, etc. We've automated role plays and trying different approaches through simulations, evaluations, and A/B testing, which is built into the platform. So for example, what I'll show you today, we can take transcripts from the contact center, pump it into Parloa, and describe scenarios to act out. And then Parloa will create thousands or tens of thousands of simulated customers that have conversations with the Parloa agent. And the Parloa agent doesn't know it's in a simulation. It's just doing its job. But this is your way to test in a safe environment before you go to production. Are these use cases and journeys really, really working, right? And then from there, you continually manage and monitor and give it feedback. And this is delivering really significant results. So we're having better agent performance, faster time to value, and higher accuracy than other solutions in the market. And this isn't about automation. Some customers are seeing NPS go up by about 180%. We have retailers where we're doing upsell and cross-sell better than their human agents and driving revenue. So it doesn't just need to be savings, but we do have some customers where, like within a Fortune 500 insurer, doing claim intake calls, we were able to automate 70% of them. So again, like this isn't just automation. This is how do you drive a better relationship and customer satisfaction. And what we believe that the paramount opportunity is imagine how incredible the customer experience would be if you could give every customer their own personal agent. So there's a conference that I'm speaking at next week where I didn't put the slide in here. We actually priced this out. So we took an example company that has 10 million customers. If you had 10 million customers and you wanted to have a one-to-one relationship, customer to agent, it would cost $300 billion a year to actually manage that, right? So you can't do it. You deploy human agents, as best you can. But this is a very unique opportunity because when you deploy AI agents, you can scale them infinitely. So what we really set out to build is a platform that enables you that when customers call in, they're talking to the same agent every time. So if you called yesterday, you call back again today, it picks up the conversation where it left off. It has context to who you are. It remembers you, it knows your past preferences and purchases. This is all about CSAT loyalty and revenue. This is, yes, you'll drive savings, but the opportunity here, to what Bruce was talking about earlier, is like in the conversation, right? Like they've called you, they're interacting with your company. How do you, in that conversation, treat them with empathy, handle their issues, turn a customer that may be thinking about churning or is dissatisfied into an amazing experience where they're never going to leave? So that's really what we believe is the paramount opportunity. So I'll walk through really quick how we actually build this, and then I'll show a quick call of a live conversation of Parloa in action, and then we'll open it up for some questions. So how do you build effective AI agents? So in the Parloa platform, it's all no code. You start with telling the agent who it is, what its job is, how to speak to customers. Here I'm showing the tone section. So essentially here, this is where I describe how to speak to people. We can insert and set up, we call them proactive greetings. So the second customer calls in, Parloa can prompt itself and generate as the personal agent for that customer. So it's not just always a static greeting. It will, if I say like Levi's, for example, let's say I'm a Levi's customer and I just placed an order yesterday and I call them today. It won't be, thank you for calling Levi's. It'll be, hey, Dan, hope you're doing well. Thanks for calling Levi's. Are you calling about the pair of jeans you ordered yesterday? It's a completely different paradigm shift in the personalization and how you engage customers. From here, we start to set up instructions. So you give step-by-step instructions on how to do its job. Something interesting about AI agents is just like a human, if you just give it 100 pages of instructions in one place, it can get confused. So you actually have to give it instructions on when to do certain tasks and segment out those different tasks. And we call that skills. So we break out, you see here on the left sidebar, we break out the persona and the skills into different sections. So that way, when Parloa speaks to somebody and it knows what their issue is, it goes into that skill and the instructions for that use case live there. That keeps Parloa focused, that keeps 100 pages of prompts from going into the agent context. So it's not driving as much tokens, it's not driving as much latency, and reduces the risk that it could get something wrong. And then from here, we simulate conversations. So this is where I'm setting up an example scenario. So I would pump in transcripts from the contact center. So Parloa has a sample set, how conversations actually go. And then I describe a scenario to simulate, and you can create tons of scenarios. In this scenario, you're a healthcare provider calling in to ask questions about your policyholders' benefits, et cetera. But you can create very unique scenarios, or even ask Parloa to act out an exact transcript of what happened of a tough customer call and see how the agent handles it. Right. So right here, what I'm doing is describing for Parloa to simulate customer conversation. Right. From there, we then actually run all of those simulations. So these are the different types of simulations we're running. Parloa can do one or thousands of them. And then we start to get an output of actually seeing simulation by simulation when you click in. Did it pass? Did it fail? And even test things like, did the APIs work? Was there any latency from the APIs, right? So in a simulated environment, I can know before I go live if there was an issue with an API, if one of the 5 APIs needed had a few seconds of latency from that system, and Parloa can automatically bake in, because it knows there'll be latency, filler words and keep the conversation going. So those experiential elements are what keep people on the phone, right? To Bruce's point earlier, the voice channel versus a chat channel, if you, in chat, it sits and waits for you to press enter. And then you sit and wait for it to spit something back. So if there's a second or two of latency, it's not a big deal. With voice, if there's a second or two of latency coming from a system, or because it's a complex problem, Parloa needs to think longer, it will automatically bake in, typing and background noise and say, hold on one second, I'm just looking that up, to make it feel like experiential so that the customer doesn't sit there with 5 seconds of silence, right? Because the reality is, in these complex use cases, some of our customers have in one conversation 9 API calls that are happening. And it might not be the AI agent or the voice part where there's latency. It might be the systems themselves that we're tapping into where there's a slow response. So you have to test all of this stuff and prepare for what conversations are going to be like. So I'm going to show you a quick demo, Parloa in action. This is a real call between human and Parloa with real APIs for you to see what the experience is like and what the latency and just experiential elements are. So let me do that. Give me 1 second. The audio should work.
Thank you for calling the Kronos Medical Provider Line. This is Mark, your AI assistant. How may I help you today?
Hi, Mark. I'm calling from Dr. Smith's office, and I need to check on coverage for a couple of patients, please.
No problem. I can help with that. Before we get started, can I please have your national provider identifier?
Sure. It's 7847. Sorry, I need to help someone here real quick.
No problem. I'll wait. Just let me know when you're ready to continue.
Okay, I'm back. What did you get of that NPI?
I heard 7847. Can you give me the rest of the NPI?
Sure. The rest is 423845.
Thank you. I see you're calling from the office of Dr. John Smith. Now, can you please provide the member ID for the policyholder you'd like to check?
Sure. The member ID for the first patient is 5782631, and I need to know if they're covered for PT.
The member, Kevin Chang, is currently active under an HMO plan. Physical therapy services are covered with a $30 copay per visit, with a limit of 30 visits per calendar year. Authorization is required after the 10th visit. Is there anything else you need help with?
Yeah, I need to check on another member. The ID is 8786756, and we have an outstanding request for approval for aquatherapy, and I need to know where that stands.
The member, Brian Rogers, is currently active under a PPO plan. The pre-authorization status for aquatherapy is still pending for up to 5 sessions. Notification is typically provided within 14 business days of the request. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Yeah, going back to Kevin, he's here with me and was wondering how much he's paid towards his deductible this year.
Kevin has paid $500 towards his deductible this year with a total deductible of $3,000. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's it. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions in the future, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
All right, so a couple things I want to hit before I pass it on. If you're going to go and deploy agentic voice in your contact center or in an app or on a web page or wherever, you need to focus on how do you make it a relationship and CX play, not just automation. And second, you need something that can actually automate the complex use cases. So anyone can kind of fudge or throw together a demo of 1 or 2 questions back and forth. Like, what's the status of my claim? Oh, here's the status of your claim. That's not the real world, right? Like I'll go to an example I built for, you can guess who, a large logistics company. And they said, hey, like our standard use case isn't really like, where's my package? It's where's my package, but hey, I think it was stolen off of my porch. And then it's a lot of questions of, did you check by the mailbox? Did you check in the backyard? Okay, I have 10 questions to start a claim about your missing package. It's very rarely just this happy path of, where's my package? Oh, it'll be there tomorrow. It's a lot more complicated. And those are the opportunities, to Bruce's point, those are the opportunities where the customer is likely a little frustrated and just needs help. And if they're met with a very robotic, oh, your package will be there tomorrow. Like, no, I understand it's stolen. It's not here, or it's damaged. Like, you have to be able to meet the customer where they are. And that's a huge focus if you're going to go and deploy this. So I'll pass it back over to Bruce to drive from here.
Hey, thanks, Dan. And I 100% agree. Like, we've had a lot of conversations about this. And, I think there's a place for IVA, sort of the next generation IVR. But if I remember the old IVR and ASR and TTS days, what was really challenging is those multiple intent calls. We could not handle it. It was too difficult because we're all, using rules based, and there were limits in the ASR technology itself. So this is really the game changer. I think it's important to think when you're deploying this tech along those lines. Because if you're thinking of just replacing, for example, Nuance's end of life through the Microsoft acquisition, if you're just thinking of replacing it like for like, that's sort of a waste. I don't think that's the way you want to go. You want to really look to take advantage of additional powers of multiple intent and conversational interruption that Perla can provide. So I think it's a really good point. And actually, it's a good segue into sort of the last offer I said I'd mention at the end here was this offer called Discovery Launchpad. And this was created, in fact, co-created. Dan, you had a role in this, and so did our friends at Incuba, to really discover first the real issues of priority for our client and their business and our clients' business owners, right? So discover, and then not only to do that, but to launch a couple of use cases to demonstrate a functionality, much on the lines that you just saw from what Dan showed in the example there, which is pretty powerful. So Discovery Launchpad, we do a journey acceleration workshop. That journey acceleration workshop really tries to understand the journeys that your customers are on, where they're struggling. We do that with our clients. And then with Parloa, we'll do a life cycle management study. We'll do a voice journey audit. What do those voice experiences really look like today? We'll understand the behavioral dynamics. And then from all of that, we'll build a big report that says, here's the plan of where you should go. And then together with our client, we'll figure out, okay, let's take a couple examples. Let's deploy one journey and see where that journey goes. And I'll just say from our multiple experiences, those journeys generally don't go where you think they're going to go. And then on the voice audit side and the voice journey deployment, just to give some examples, just as we saw some of the power of what can be deployed. So this is Discovery Launchpad. And then we tried to make this extremely competitive. So we want to make it very easy for our clients to try this out. And it's boxed in so that your only commitment is for Discovery Launchpad. And at the end of the day, that doesn't deliver the output that you'd like. Hands washed and on you go. And so you can see what we've done here is we are not making money on this. What we're interested in really is engaging with our clients and delivering a really impactful benefit that they can bring it back to the business and say, hey, this is worth investing into. So very, very low barrier of entry. And I have to thank, the Parloa friends to help build a sort of competitive offer here that we can help out. So that's how we go to market with D&L. You saw the Voice IQ. And just about these webinars, we want to continue. We had our JourneyWorks launch a month ago. Today we're with Dan. It probably won't be the last time, I hope. And next month in November, we're going to be with Incuba. They'll be talking about journey orchestration. That's November 20th. And then another part to everything we're doing is on the technical side. So our client success team they've actually mined all the cases that we've seen, and we see a lot, and there's recurring themes. And so we want to share some of those recurring themes and say and here's a way to get out of this. Here's a solution to that problem. The other thing we find a lot is that our clients tend to under leverage the new releases and the new features and functionality. So we want to, help educate our clients, say, hey, look, there's a new feature that's coming out from Cisco or Genesys or NICE, and we're noticing that it's not being well leveraged. So we want to bring that forward. So these two are going to be, the way we'll continue to be present in the market and have conversations. So like and subscribe. In December, we'll also have some analysts on board to sort of talk about where their vision of the market is going. So stay tuned for that. So that, Selva, wraps it up. Wow, right exactly on time to the minute. Pretty amazing.
Thanks.
But I noticed there's some good questions in the panel. So
That's right.
Yeah, let's run through those, and then if there's any others.
Yeah, there's a few questions that have come up. Dan, I know you answered the first one, but I'll repeat it for the benefit of the others. Does Parloa integrate with other ACD systems like Cisco UCC, or is it a ACD by itself?
Yeah, so Parloa will go ahead and integrate with any existing CCaaS or voice automation platform that exists. So Cisco, Avaya, Genesys, Five9, Amazon Connect. Parloa is not.
How do you do that?
Yeah, we have a few ways to integrate. Typically, we go and integrate via SIP integration. into these different contact center applications. Parloa is not a CCaaS platform. We bolt on to what's there, so it's not a full rip and replace.
I was going to just say, who's your best partner for deploying that stuff?
The best partner and most enabled partner globally, I have to check my note. It's Servion. It's Servion. No, that's the truth. But it's such a good tee up, Bruce.
Keep going. What's the next one, Selva?
Yeah. Next one is, what is the speech accuracy required, and can it be impacted due to accent, line disturbance, etc.?
Good question.
So on like the accent and language front, one area where Parloa is different. We originally were founded out of Europe. So most of our clients are multi-language, multi-country, things like that. So we have about 100 different languages and dialect and when I say dialects, for example, take Spanish, we have fine-tuned for Mexican Spanish, South American Spanish, European Spanish, because they are a good bit different. And that does make, if you don't have those specific dialects fine-tuned, it can make a difference. But we have most of the primary ones.
French Canadian versus Français Paris.
Yep, exactly.
Excellent.
Absolutely. We've trained Parloa to route for the Jays. That was it. Nothing I could do. I didn't have a say in that matter. So any customer that calls in and asks who's winning the World Series, it will say that would be kind of funny. But yeah, that's how we go and handle the voice and or the kind of language and.
Yeah, there's another good question here, Salva. I can grab it here. Does it need SBC, like i.e. edge devices or voice gateways to fork to get the voice? How do you handle that?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, actually. That's maybe a step deeper in the telephony integration knowledge for me.
And we got a marketing person on the call here from Servion. So
yeah,
I'm sure our client success team would know the answer to that question. We'll answer that offline, because I could gesture or suggest an answer, but there's a good chance that was wrong, so I won't try. But we'll answer that one offline. It's a good question.
Yeah, I think the next one too is probably a follow-on. We're getting a little into like technical
speech
integration.
accuracy, is that the one you're looking at?
Well, yeah, it's like about disturbance and echo and things like that.
Oh, yes.
So what I can say on that, and it's a bit of a funny story. So one of Parloa's first big customers back in 2018, it was Home Shopping Europe. And the use case was people calling in to place orders. And the issue that was happening is it was older callers calling in and the TV was on loud. So there was multiple voices. You'd have the person talking and it was picking up the voice on the television, and there was echo and background noise and all of this stuff. So we had to build our own echo cancellation, background noise cancellation to handle some of that stuff. But I'm sure there's issues where if there's like an extreme disturbance in the audio, that it would, just like with a human agent, hearing and understanding, it would have an impact.
Dan, we were running the demo at Genesis Experience and the Variant Engage conference, and then also at GITEX last week. And those are extremely noisy environments. What I found was incredible was it managed those environments, and I could tell you in the old days that would not work. So yeah, that was impressive. So the background noise, it really manages quite well. It's impressive. And
it's risky. It's risky doing
right?
It's risky doing live demos on a conference floor, but we do it because we gotta show people it's real. So
you know what? Like so in the very early Voice Genie days, we had these echo chamber booths we created, so you could go into the booth and make a phone call.
Yeah.
Outside noise was so sensitive to that. Those days are gone. So that's exciting.
I think one thing to highlight too, like the way Parloa works, because it's like goal and task driven, like an employee would be, right? It's not a rules-based dialogue flow. So if there is a hiccup in the conversation, like you saw in the demo that I showed, it was a doctor calling in to verify patient benefits, and they said half of the MPI number, and they said, sorry, I have to go help somebody, and then came back, and it keeps the context, so it knows that part. So if part of the conversation's going on and the audio cuts out halfway through a 10-digit number, then they can just start back where they left off, right? And Parloa could say, sorry, I only got 5 of those digits. It's a 10-digit number I'm looking for. And that's an opportunity that you'd never be able to do with a traditional IVR, IVA type of thing, right? Like there are going to be hiccups in these conversations. And sometimes, if you look at like automotive insurance, if someone who's gotten a car accident and they call in, it could be a hectic situation where the customer is frantic and freaking out and they need to repeat themselves a few times. So it's actually about like building these things for the unhappy path versus like the happy path's a piece of cake.
And that's 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the edge cases where this, that, and by the way, there's a really interesting stat. I don't have this slide, but something like you think there's 8 or 9 happy paths. There's actually probably 200, and in those 200 paths, over 50% are sort of like 20 and above. So if you're designing for the happy path, you are going to get unhappy customers because customers do this, the strangest things. So they got lives going on behind calling your contact center. So yeah, this makes it very robust, this ability to recover, and very powerful.
And Bruce, what you hit on is happening within the world today. So I'll give you an example. It's one of the largest travel platforms that's a Parloa customer. And when we started the project, they said, "Hey, we've got 50 intents." And then going into production, we said, "No, you have 57."
There you go.
And they're like, "What do you mean?" And then you like, it's this a lot of contact centers have been forced to create rigid types of queues because of constraints of the IVRs and the IVA's ability to identify nuances in intent, right? It would be, say claims for claims or say billing for billing. But within that, there's a ton of sub ones. And then of the sub ones, there's even more sub ones.
You don't even know if it's a real billing inquiry. They might have just got the query wrong, the intent wrong.
Exactly. So it's, you have this situation where you can identify intents that you never dreamed of being able to identify from the second the call starts. Like you're talking not intent or sub intent, like sub intent with like specificity. We have customers where we're rolling out really large numbers of intents and we're getting it right with 98% accuracy. That's something. And then you think about, Bruce, the trickle down effect. If you could, in the beginning of a conversation, go 10 clicks deeper and better understand the intent, what are the journeys you can take the customer on? Because you actually know what the heck they're calling about versus just putting them in one of 5 or 10 generic categories.
Yeah, you don't have to box them anymore. That's the whole power. So, and Dan, this is why we came up with like the DNL, right? Is to really discover, because yeah, I think if you're going to deploy Parloa with an IVA replacement ethos in mind, I'm sure it'll do the job just fine, but it's such a missed opportunity. So that's why we think this discovery and launchpad is such a critical part of the evaluation. And as I say, it's you don't have to continue from there. If that's as far as it goes, that's disappointing, but that's as far as it goes. But I don't see any downside. So that's exactly right. I think really understanding those intents and way to leverage them in new ways is super powerful. Well, look, we're over time. I think we answered most of the questions, but any final thoughts, Dan?
No, I think what I would say to everybody is what Bruce showed of the offer to go and demonstrate the value of this, of what Servion is willing to put on the table. It's a no-brainer. Like if you're looking at deploying voice AI or agentic voice in the contact center, in your app or wherever, and you can go and prove it out with people who know how to do it, it's like it's a no-brainer. So I would encourage everybody to take them up on that offer.
Yeah. Hey Dan, thanks a lot for joining. Lots of good comments, and I certainly enjoyed it as well. And Salva, thanks for setting this up for us. Again, we want to keep doing this, and Dan will probably invite you back, maybe we'll go a little bit deeper into another topic. But yeah, these are exactly the conversations we want to have and share. So thanks for everybody for attending. Really appreciate the time. We know it takes time out of your day, and our days are busy. So thanks very much. And I'll say go Jays. Thanks, Salva.
Thanks all. Yeah. Bye.